What's going on? Jeb here. Welcome to Coffee and Crypto. In this episode, we are going to be looking at not only Bitcoin, we're also going to be looking at some of your favorite top altcoins like Ethereum, Cardano, and more. And guys, we have a ton of different news stories that we want to dive into as well, having to do with the new mayor of New York City. As you know, New York City is the financial capital of the planet, and the new mayor of NYC is very bullish on Bitcoin. We can also talk about what's going on in Australia because there has been an update for the ETF over there, and a lot more. We have much to talk about today's show, and in fact, we have so much to talk about on today's show, we might run a little bit long just because we want to bring you as much information as we possibly can before the weekend starts. I'm really looking forward to today's stream. If you enjoy, make sure to hit that like button. But I am joined, as always, by my co-host and good friend, TA Tim. How you doing, Tim?
I am doing good. I'm excited for the show. There's a couple new spins, as Jeb mentioned. Not only more TA happening,
yes, sir,
but some new twists ups to how we're doing Super Chat. So
indeed,
wait for the intermission, and we'll get there.
Indeed, Areno. We are also joined, as always, by Smay. How you doing, Smay? Welcome back.
Hello, everybody. I'm back. Guys, I just want to take a moment and celebrate the fact that the Celtics won both games here in Florida. Congratulations, Celtics. But also, I would like to also give a moment to shout out our members. And today, I want to shout out the three masters. I want to give a shout out to Alan Carey,
woo,
Jack Sonaira,
woo,
and Jeffrey Fritz.
Woo.
It's Joffrey. His name's Joffrey.
It's
now.
Jeffrey
okay.
Fritz.
It's Joffrey.
Congratulations. Thank
He's
you
the
guys so
king?
much. I love
He
you
doesn't
guys.
get his name pronounced
If
right.
you're interested in the membership program, check the link below.
Well, Joffrey was a king, so king
Yeah,
of what is it called?
Joffrey.
You mean Game of Thrones?
Game of Thrones. Yeah,
Game
what-
of Thrones.
what's
But he
the-
was dreadful.
Game of Thrones. Yeah, he was very dreadful.
No one
Game
liked
of
Joffrey.
Thrones.
What was the name of the kingdom that he was the king of?
It was
the king of the
world.
the king of the world. He was the king of the world.
I mean,
There
he
you
was
go.
he was the Lannister guy.
He was indeed. Well, guys, guess who just won the HODL Trophy for a third time? We got a three-peat. Hashtag chop the tree, and I forgot, to be honest with you. It's been so long. It's been about time that I won 3 in a row. Guys, I won the HODL Trophy because I predicted that Bitcoin was going to be at or below, what was it, 63,400 or 64,500? I forgot what it was.
Well, yours was 64,000.
500, I think, right?
500.
64.5?
Yeah. And then the next closest was T Shroom at 65.
What were the predictions again, Tim?
So you were 64.5.
Mm-hmm.
T Shroom was 65.420. I was 67.3, and then Shmay was the highest at 69.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hashtag cut the beard, chop the tree, as our longtime viewer Joshua Haynes said so eloquently. Guys, we got a great show lined up for you today. We're going to kick it off with some Bitcoin TA, and then we're going to dive into some 2-minute technicals on some of your favorite cryptocurrencies. Looks like we're going to be covering Ethereum, Cardano, and Solana, and we're going to be looking at all three of those really quickly. And then we're going to jump back into some Bitcoin TA and keep the show moving. So let's start here on Bitcoin. We're first going to look at the bullish TA on your favorite cryptocurrency, BTC. The very first thing that I want to show you is down here on the 4-hourly chart. And it is that at the moment, Bitcoin is still managing to hold this uptrending level of support that has been in place since the 27th of October. Remember, guys, we've talked about over the last several days how 61,300 is a critical level that Bitcoin absolutely definitely wants to hold, and right now that's looking like what is happening. It looks like Bitcoin is attempting to hold this. Now, the thing you have to realize is that there's actually a lot of bearish pressure pushing us down into this support level. But if Bitcoin can hold this and bounce here, then we are going to be sitting pretty. We can also see right here, if we just zoom out a little bit, that Bitcoin actually finds itself in a massive bull pennant. We talked about this briefly in another show recently, but I'll just go ahead and show you right now. This bull pennant is actually very, very important. And the reason is because it basically says Bitcoin has been consolidating up here after its major run in the month of October. Bitcoin rallied a grand total of $26,000 in 20 days. Bitcoin on average rallied well over $1,000 a day for 3 weeks. And we talked about how, hey, look, Bitcoin needed to consolidate. It needed to chill out a little bit. We didn't want to just continue mooning forever, because if Bitcoin just rallies $5,000 every single day, it'd be at $1 million in a week. And that sounds great, but it would also come with a giant crash, and a lot of people would lose a whole lot of money because of the FOMO that they would use to buy in on. So it's actually a very good thing that Bitcoin is trading sideways right here, because this bull flag actually has this bull pennant actually has a very, very simple price target. If you simply draw from the beginning of the market movement into the bull pennant, which remember the bull pennant is made up of these two lines right here, and you draw the market that rallied into it, all you have to do to get a price target is extrapolate it just like this. If you do that, then you get a price target up here of $88,000 for Bitcoin, which is where our title comes from today. Can Bitcoin go to 88,000 as a result of this bull pennant? That's what we're going to be talking about in this show, and I'll just go ahead and tell you, even before we get into it, I think the answer is yes. But we need to see, how is Bitcoin going to play through this pennant? Are we going to break bullish, or are we going to break bearish? That is the million-dollar question at the moment. Now, the next thing I want to show you out here on the daily chart is the fact that just a few days ago, there was a spinning top that formed on Bitcoin. We saw it right here, and then we're also seeing some very interesting candle wick analysis coming into the market right now. We see very long lower shadows right here, but then even today, we see very long upper shadows, and we saw the same thing happen over here on the 2nd of November. If you don't know what I'm talking about when I say shadow, I'm just talking about the wicks of the candles. A candlestick is broken up into the large rectangular bit, that's called the body, and then these lines represent the extremities of the price action during that time frame. So for example, on November the 3rd, we closed the day, we ended the day, the price was at 62,800 at the end of the day, but during the day, we pulled all the way down to $60,200. That's what this lower shadow is, that's what that lower wick is. Those two terms are interchangeable. But the fact that we're seeing large upper wicks and very large lower wicks indicates to us that there is a battle going on between the bulls and the bears, and neither of them have yet come out on top. Moving down to the 4-hourly chart, we can look at one of my favorite technical indicators, VPVR. You guys know that this is an indicator that I am really a fan of. I use it every single day, and we are currently sitting right on top of what is known as the point of control on the VPVR. The point of control represents the level that the market has spent the most time and volume trading at. At 61,300, that is the level where Bitcoin has traded the most at, and we've seen the most volume at. So it takes into account all of your volume down here and just simply the amount of time we've spent trading at these levels. The fact that Bitcoin is sitting right above this level is very important. As we say almost in every single stream, Bitcoin is like a ball, and it'll either roll up the hill or down the hill, but it is unstable, sitting on top of the hill that is a VPVR. We want it to roll to the upside, and based on all of our analysis, we think it will, but just keep in mind 61,300 is that level that you absolutely need to be watching. Now, let's go out to the daily chart really quickly, and I want to show you a couple of moving averages. Number one, if we take a look here at one of our most important moving averages, the 20 daily exponential, you can see over the last week and a half, we've been consistently bouncing off of this level. The reason that the 20 daily EMA is so remarkably important is because it basically tells us whether we're in a bull market or a bear market, not a bull market or a bear market, an uptrend or a downtrend. And whenever you're bouncing off of it, that indicates that the market is still strong. But once you've broken below the 20 EMA, as you could see happened here on September the 7th, or broken above it, as you can see happened here on October the 1st, then that indicates a major trend reversal is occurring. This is another reason why this $61,000 region and the immediate surroundings of it is so important. The 20 daily EMA is currently sitting at 60,900, which is only $400 away from 61,300. This zone between these two levels is absolutely vitally important. And if Bitcoin does start breaking bearish out here, then we enter a very bearish territory, and we could see Bitcoin pull back to like $55,000 or $50,000. Do I think that's going to happen? Absolutely not. I do not think that's going to happen. I think that Bitcoin is going to bounce, and I think it's going to rally. I think it's going to break bullish. But you guys have to know both sides of the story so that you're prepared for anything. With that said, I want to go ahead and show you guys what Market Cypher is saying, because it's got some interesting analysis that I want to show you. Number one, we can see that the momentum, which is this blue area right here, it moves to the upside and it moves to the downside, and sometimes it trades sideways. But it basically tells us, what is the overarching trend? What direction is the market moving in? Well, you can see the momentum tried to move to the upside a little bit over the last several days, but we've actually seen a red dot right here. Momentum is not one moving average, if you will. It's not even a moving average in the first place, but it's not just one line. It's actually two. You see this light blue, and then this dark blue, and then this kind of just blue. By the way, blue is my favorite color. Fun facts with Jeb. I love blue. My eyes are blue. But we saw a red dot right here, which basically means that momentum is saying, hey, we're kind of losing our upwards momentum. We might be pulling to the downside a little bit. And that actually makes sense because in the last couple of days, we've seen a good amount of bearish price action. Not something to be worried about, but it is something to take note of. We can also see that the money flow has been trending to the downside ever since the 31st of October. This basically tells us, that's this line right here, by the way, that basically tells us that the market is losing it is kind of losing the retail. It's losing the interest of the retail. The retail investor was very interested up until about a week and a half ago when Bitcoin started this sideways movement, and now it's getting kind of boring, and a lot of the people that are impatient are leaving the space. That's kind of what money flow is telling us right here. We can also see VWAP has dropped here below the zero level, which traditionally, if you're in the stock market, you almost certainly use VWAP. That's the volume weighted average price. It basically just compares the current price of the market to the average price of the market over the last certain amount of time. It has dropped below the zero level, which indicates that we are now on the lower end of recent price action. You know, there's a lot of ways you can read that. I wouldn't be too concerned about that. Same things up here on the RSI. It's basically trading sideways. Those are these lines right here. Now, moving down to the 4-hourly chart, we have a little bit more of an actual signal. The daily chart's just very sideways, very neutral. It's really just telling us, hey, look, Bitcoin is kind of waiting. It's in a holding pattern, which is exactly what it's in because it's in that bull pennant. But as far as the 4-hourly chart is concerned, this line right here curving to the upside, that's called the money flow. That's actually very important. The reason that that's important is because whenever you're using Market Cipher, money flow is the thing that you want to be looking out for a rounding bottom. If it starts rounding, then that can start to be a buy signal. In fact, there are analysts who use Market Cipher who would look at this market right here and consider this basically a buy signal. And the reason is, there's been a green dot. We're seeing that the momentum is moving to the upside and money flow is moving to the upside. It's not a very strong one, though, because the VWAP is also pushing down and the RSIs are pushing down. So the issue here on the 4-hourly chart, and just by the way, this is what the market looks like. We're looking at this region. We're just looking at the oscillator. Basically, what we're seeing right here is Market Cipher B down here on the 4-hourly chart kind of split. Money flow is pushing to the upside. This is generally around where you'd want to be buying based on money flow. But again, you never want to use only one indicator because VWAP and RSI are not giving us very confident signals. So we're getting kind of like a half buy signal out of Market Cipher B. Nothing that I would really act on personally, but that is what it's telling us. Now, if we look down here to the 1-hourly chart, things look even more interesting. This is a really, really strange way to, this is a really strange predicament that Market Cipher B finds itself in down here. Money flow is bottoming out and it's actually continuing to move to the downside, so not really giving us a buy signal. VWAP is rallying very quickly, RSI is rallying quickly, and momentum is trying to curve around. In an hour or two, if we start to see money flow curve and we see VWAP jump above zero and we see a green dot come in here, then in an hour or two, Market Cipher very well may be giving a buy signal. So just keep an eye on that for any of our Market Cipher traders out there. An hour or two, if Bitcoin continues moving to the upside, if you see us get up to like 62,000, 62,200, then in my opinion, Market Cipher is kind of telling you, hey, this looks pretty bullish. Now, I want to run over a couple of other technicals just briefly here, run through the daily chart, 4-hourly chart, and hourly chart, and kind of even look at some things that we didn't look at a second ago. Number one, the daily chart MACD on Bitcoin is still attempting to have rounding bottoms. It's still trying to converge, but the last 2 days have been divergent. Not something I'm super excited about. On the 4-hourly chart, we're seeing something similar. We've had a couple of red bars here on the MACD's histogram. This basically is telling us that the MACD is trying to cross bullish. And for all of you guys who are not terribly familiar with MACD, basically MACD is a setup of two different lines. And then based on how those lines cross, it gives you a signal the market's going to move up or down. A signal like this says the market's going to go down. A signal like this says the market's going to move up. Right now, we're looking for one of those up signals. It's called a bullish cross on the MACD, and if that occurs, then we're going to be excited, and we want to see the market move up from there. On the hourly chart, the MACD did almost cross bearish, but it hasn't yet, and if Bitcoin still maintains some bullish momentum, then it's likely not going to. So that's kind of what the technicals on Bitcoin look like right now. Those are mainly the bullish technicals. We're going to look at some bearish technicals again here in a little bit. And in not too long, we're going to dive into some Solana, some Bitcoin, some Ethereum, some Cardano. We're going to do some 2-minute technicals on all those. I know you guys love those projects. But before we do that, I want to dive into some news, especially having to do with the New York City Mayor-elect Eric Adams. And he vows to take his first 3 paychecks in Bitcoin. This is a pretty big deal. And the reason that this is a big deal should become obvious when I read you one statistic. The gross domestic product of New York City, based on a little bit of Googling that I did this morning, is $2 trillion. The population of New York City alone, not even the major metropolitan areas surrounding it, but New York City alone is about 8 million people. The major metropolitan area around New York City is around 25 million strong. So the mayor of New York City has more power than most world leaders of entire sovereign nations. Like, if New York City alone, not including the surrounding areas, was a nation, it would be one of the largest economies on the planet. In fact, New York City, the city alone, is a larger economy than most states in the United States. That's how powerful New York City is. It is literally the financial capital of planet Earth. So the fact that we're seeing a mayor-elect, Eric Adams, be very bullish on Bitcoin is a huge step forward, because what is Bitcoin? It is the way that we're going to revolutionize financial systems. Where are all these financial systems based out of? They're based out of New York City. And if we can start to see political pressure being put on some of these corrupt financial systems and pushing for Bitcoin, that is going to be a good thing. Now, I want to make something clear even before I jump into this, because I understand that New York City politics is a very, how should I say, political realm. I am not a supporter or a detractor of Eric Adams. I am reading this story for the first time. I'm not from New York City. I am simply addressing his stance on Bitcoin today and nothing else. I don't even know if he's a Democrat, Republican, Independent. It's not my race, literally, because I'm from Florida. But I am interested in the fact that he likes Bitcoin. In brief, New York City Mayor-elect Eric Adams tweeted that he will take his first 3 paychecks in Bitcoin. He made the pledge after Miami Mayor Francis Suarez tweeted that he would take his own next paycheck in Bitcoin. So guys, I'm not going to go into a bunch of detail on this. You kind of already got the point. But one thing I do want to do is I want to call out Kelly Kellum. He's on our research team, and he actually lives in New York City. I believe you live in Manhattan. Tell us in the chat, what do you think about this? Do you think this is a very big deal for the city of New York? How big of a deal is this? And also, Kelly, if you could post some stuff about that over on your Twitter, because I'm sure people would love to get some insight from a New York City resident. Make sure to go follow Kelly Kellum on Twitter, KELLYKELLAM on Twitter. Feel free to post that down there. Now, moving right along here, I want to talk about an ETF that just got approved in Australia. BetaShares crypto company ETF smashes Australian records on opening day. The CRYP fund was marked as an opportunity for stock market investors to dip their toes in cryptocurrency. I'm going to read right here. We've had records broken in our business this year too. Demand from high net worth individuals, family offices, and advisors have really ramped up, and that looks set to accelerate with institutional adoption. Investors blasted through the existing ETF record of $5.8 million within minutes and soared to a total of almost $31 million by the end of opening day, signaling massive pent-up demand for cryptocurrency exposure on the ASX, which is a stock exchange. It is the Australian Securities Exchange, to be specific. They broke that record within 15 minutes of launching. That is ridiculous. We've talked about Australian ETFs before on this show. Australia is a massive market for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, especially being so close to Asia, where a lot of big things are going on. I believe it was Bhutan that's working with Ripple and Ripple Labs to build a CBDC based on the back of XRP. There is a lot going on in Southeast Asia and in Oceania, where Australia is, around cryptocurrencies, and this is just another one of these telltale moments that cryptocurrency is here to stay, and it is going to make massive shockwaves in the market in the same way the internet did back in the late 90s when we started seeing massive ETFs and major companies going public. It is going to be a big deal. We've seen records be smashed in America. We've seen the same thing happen in Canada, and now we're seeing the same thing happen right in Australia. Very excited about that. Now, one thing here that is really interesting, this is a big deal because you guys know we've been talking about ETFs for a while here. We've talked about futures ETFs and the differences between futures ETFs and spot ETFs. The difference is that a futures ETF is cash settled, a spot ETF is Bitcoin settled, and we want to see these cryptocurrency ETFs, specifically these Bitcoin ETFs, be Bitcoin settled, because that basically means that the ETF can affect the supply and demand curves of Bitcoin. If it's not physically settled, then it's basically if it's not Bitcoin settled, then it's basically a derivative, and it doesn't really have a good impact on the market. But if you start to see a spot ETF where it's Bitcoin settled, that is going to mean that the ETF, the people that are running the ETF, are going to have to buy up Bitcoin and take money off of exchange, decrease the liquidity of the market, and drive up the value of the market because of supply and demand economics. And there are talks that a spot ETF, a Bitcoin settled ETF, could be launching before Christmas. As Bitcoin reported over a week ago, Grayscale introduced a petition to transform their GBTC into an ETF that would track Bitcoin's spot price. The filing was made after U.S. securities regulator green-lighted ProShares Bitcoin ETF based on CME futures contracts. According to the document published on the SEC, the filing to turn GBTC into a Bitcoin ETF was made by NYSE Arca on October 19, 2021. The sponsor expects that the market price of the shares will fluctuate over time in response to the market prices of Bitcoin. In addition, because the shares reflect the estimated accrued but unpaid expenses of the trust, the number of Bitcoins represented by a share will gradually decrease over time as the trust's Bitcoin are used to pay the trust's expenses. So this is a pretty big deal, and there are talks about this potentially happening even before Christmas. You can see it in a tweet right here from ETF Hearsay. Tim, I want to ask your opinion on this. How big of an impact do you think a Bitcoin settled ETF would have versus a futures ETF? This has been a big conversation in cryptocurrency recently.
So spot versus futures?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking with T. Sherman about this yesterday. I still would prefer those people just go ahead and get involved themselves. It's still a way for them to get their hands into crypto, into Bitcoin without technically owning any of their own keys. I guess when you look at, there's a couple steps that they don't have to worry about, but as a whole, there are some similarities between spot ETFs and just holding it, but the difference is it's still technically not yours. I am a bigger fan of spot ETFs than I am of the futures. Again, futures, I think long term kind of harasses the project. It kind of brings the price down. Spot's not as detrimental, but it's not as helpful either as just people going and getting their own exchanges, signing up for Coinbase, getting their own wallets, doing something like that, and then buying it themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, looks like we're going to run into some of our 2-minute technicals. Isn't that right, Tim? We're going to look at some of our other cryptocurrency projects that I know you guys are looking forward to. So really quickly, let's just run through some Ethereum real fast, and we're going to dive into what that looks like. Then we're going to look at Cardano. Then we're going to look at Solana, and we're going to move right along here. Now, we are doing a segment here that we call 2-minute technicals. This is where I'm going to look at a market for a grand total of about 2 minutes. I'm going in kind of blind. I mean, obviously, I look at these projects quite a bit, so I pretty much know what's going on, but I don't really have any notes on this. I'm going to be doing technical analysis live, so you can see what it looks like when I am analyzing a market for the first time, and hopefully you can kind of see what my processes and methodologies are. So let's start here on Ethereum. What's going on with Ethereum? Well, the first thing that jumps out to me is obviously the fact that we're in this massive ascending triangle pattern. Naturally, that is already up on my chart, but it's something that I've been looking at recently. This does remind me, and what I'm doing right now is I'm remembering, okay, what have I seen in my previous life in cryptocurrency? This reminds me of a chart formation that happened in 2017 where Ethereum had a major break to the upside, and I think that's probably what we're going to see happen right here. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to run through a bunch of different technical indicators that I use. I literally like to just go straight down the list and look and see what I can find. I'm first going to use LuxAlgo, which is one of our paid indicators that I absolutely love. What I'm noticing right here on LuxAlgo, just off the top of my head, is that we're sitting right up here, right below the reversal zone. That's basically telling me that Ethereum is very bullish right now, but it might be running out of steam if it's not able to penetrate much deeper into that reversal zone. It's not as bullish as it was back over here, for example, where we got really deep into the reversal zone. Same thing right here. Basically, what this is telling me is that the market is rallying, but it's not getting too overextended. It's moving kind of slowly, and that tells me that something's probably pulling it back. This doesn't look like a hype-backed rally. It looks like just a rally that you would see happen whenever the market is growing based off of fundamentals. We're also under a strong buy signal. EQ cloud's expanding, which means we're gradually moving more bullish, and Trendcatcher is bullish as well. Let's take a look at volume here. Volume looks to be picking up over the last couple of weeks. That is definitely exciting. Let's take a look at TD Sequential. Oop, that's important. We just saw a 9 flash here on TD Sequential. That means Ethereum might be in the process of getting overextended, might be looking a little bit bearish. And on top of that, if I look right here, I can see the last couple of candlesticks have had very long lower shadows. That indicates to me, hey, look, the bulls are buying this up, but they're also losing some of their momentum because we're falling over. In fact, even today's candlestick looks like it is going to end up being a spinning top. Again, like I said, guys, this is all live. I'm doing this without any notes. I'm going into this blind. If we look at this candlestick, this spinning top indicates to me that there's indecision in the market. Let's see if I can find another example. Here's an example of a spinning top. Here's another example of them. It basically tells us that we move from bullish sentiment to more neutral sentiment, which is, of course, a step in the wrong direction for the Bitcoin bulls. Taking a look here at VPVR, we're going to see that the level of support that Ethereum really needs to care about is right here around $4,000. If it does have a correction below all-time high, then $4,000 roughly to right here at $4,100 is probably where it would pull back down to. Let's take a look at some of our oscillators down here, we can see that MACD is looking to converge bearish on itself. If we keep moving bearish for the next couple of days, that's probably going to be a bearish cross. It'd be the first one in a couple of months, which would definitely wreak havoc on the price action. Taking a look here at the RSI, I'm getting the same feel that I had from Lux Algo earlier. Yes, we're bullish, but we're not sitting up here at 80, 90. We're only sitting here at 64, which means, yeah, we're bullish, but we're not very bullish. It seems like something is holding this market back. If we take a look down here on the 4-hourly chart, and we look for different indicators, I can see, boom, there's an uptrend right there that Ethereum's attempting to hold based on this wick, this high, and this level right here. Looks like Ethereum needs to hold that uptrend, and it also needs to hold this flat level, which is previous all-time high at $4,400. But at the moment, if we look down here on the hourly chart, it is setting lower highs, as you can see right here, and it's generally setting lower lows. It looks like it tried to put an inverse head and shoulders pattern in here, down here on like the 15-minute chart, but it failed. That is not giving me a lot of confidence down here for these bulls. Taking a look at the volume, we can also see the volume's been gradually decreasing ever since we hit a new all-time high over here, which is basically telling me that we might be moving into the same direction that Bitcoin moved into a couple of weeks ago, where we hit a new all-time high, but then it lost its momentum because it simply couldn't sustain it. So that's kind of what I'm seeing on Ethereum right now. Yeah, it's bullish, but it's losing its momentum, and we might be in danger of having a little bit of a correction over the next couple of days. That's my analysis on Ethereum. Tim, what are your thoughts on Ethereum?
Yeah, well, so I'm going to give you different opinions. I mean, some of the things that I have on my notes are similar to what Jeb said. I actually hadn't done the anchor code. For example, what you did with saying that we potentially are in a ascending triangle, you had the base or the anchor of that be closer to like the 12th of May back previous all-time high to right now. I get it. You know, that's not where I had. I had 3 different levels, 3 different things that we need to look at. I had an anchor on the 4th of September, the 15th of September, and then again on the 23rd of September. And all 3 of those would put us in an ascending wedge, which is a bearish motion. The question is, which one is the most significant? As a whole, though, on the daily chart, just so you guys know, from a TA perspective, I don't really like where Ethereum is sitting. If this is true, and if these technicals hold up and do what they traditionally do more than 70% of the time, we not only have an ascending wedge, like Jeb said, we have a red 9 flash, which usually corrects. Our RSI on the daily chart is setting up bearish RSI divergence, and then if you go down to the 12-hourly chart, it gets even clearer with bearish RSI divergence, as well as a MACD bearish cross we just had. And so from a technical standpoint, I don't like where Ethereum is. But let's now look at the bullish side of it, and that's the fundamental things happening. First of all, today is the expiry day of $540 million on Ethereum, that where we are sitting right now between 4,400 and 4,600, that's 13,750 calls versus 350 puts. The net result is a $60 million favoring the call bulls instruments. So that is bullish. Also, we just saw that Bakkt announced that they're now going to allow their users to exchange Ethereum as well. So those are 2 massively bullish stories that I think will bring us a bullish price. So we're kind of sitting right now with Ethereum in a little bit of unknown. The technicals are saying bearish. The fundamentals are saying bullish. Let's see what happens.
The technicals are, in my opinion, saying that we're rounding out. I can show them what you were talking about with this uptrending level of resistance right here and this downtrending, this uptrending level of support right here. We're definitely in an ascending wedge, and as Tim so astutely pointed out, we also have a downtrend here on the RSI, which is basically telling us, hey, look, guys, we have bearish RSI divergence, and bearish RSI divergence is like a very ticked-off mother because you messed up her kitchen. I will be listened to, dang it, and that RSI divergence is not playing around. It is saying we are going to have a drop, and RSI divergence does not like being ignored. With that said, we're going to move on here to Cardano because I know you guys are always wanting to hear what's going on ADA. People want to see Cardano move into a giant rally, and kind of, to be honest with you, the exact opposite of what's happening on Ethereum is happening on ADA. So let's do a little bit of 2-minute technicals on it as well. First things first, obviously, let's look at some of our longer-term patterns. Right now, ADA has a large downtrend that has been in play ever since about the 15th of September. This is a month-and-a-half long pattern, and it's basically saying, hey, we're setting lower highs, which is telling us that ADA is losing some of its momentum. But at the same time, it is setting pretty consistent lows right down here around $2. It looks like we're trying to hold $2. And remember, we want to think, okay, I have seen this before. Where have I seen this play out before? I have seen a pattern like this play out in 2018. So let me go and look at 2018 on Bitcoin. In 2018's market on Bitcoin, we saw a downtrend and then a flat level. Instead of at $2, which would be pretty low for Bitcoin, we saw it sitting at $6,000. Bitcoin rallied, rounded top, and then we moved into a fall falling wedge slash descending triangle pattern. We are seeing the exact same thing happen on ADA relatively recently. If we look right over here, very similar thing. Big old rally, rounded top, and then we move into a descending triangle pattern. That basically just tells me, hey, look, if Cardano does the same thing that Bitcoin does, it's going to have a final capitulation down here, and then it's going to go into a massive rally if it follows in Bitcoin's footsteps, which is not necessarily the case, but we want to make sure that we're taking into account historical analysis whenever we are doing our analysis. Looking down here to our oscillators, the first thing that jumps out at me is the fact that there is a bullish MACD cross coming in to Cardano today. That is big because if Cardano has a bullish MACD cross and manages to come up here and break this downtrending level of resistance, which is going to have to break one of them relatively soon, then it's probably going to have a major uptrend start, and we could see things like the fundamentals of Charles Hoskinson being all over Africa right now, talking to all kinds of multinational corporations and ministers of different departments of government, cause a major rally to start on this project. Taking a look down here at the RSI, we can see that we're gradually setting higher lows, and if we just take a look for RSI divergence, let's see. Do I see any RSI div? I do not. I could be blind because my chart vision is not as good on RSI divergence as it is for everything else. Tell me in the chat if you do. I don't personally see any RSI divergence here. Looks like everything is solid right there. Let's take a look at some of our indicators that I really love, such as Lux Algo. Lux Algo right now, we are seeing that there was a take profit down here from this sell signal that happened back over here on the 6th of September, basically telling us, hey, look, this might be the bottom. We can also see the trend catcher right here is where we got resistance at $2.15. If Cardano is able to get above 215, start jumping into this EQ cloud, get up here above 225, 230, 240, number one, it's going to see volatility come back, and the amazing Cardano community is going to take over and cause this thing to pump. But two, we probably see a buy signal, trend catcher turn green, and EQ cloud start to cross bullish. So we just need to move about, 24 cents to the upside, and we'd likely start to see a lot of bullishness come in. Taking a look here at the volume, we can see that there was a pretty large volume candle yesterday, but to be honest with you, volume has been jumping off the metaphorical cliff over the last month and a half, and that's not exactly what we want to see. Let's take a look here at our TD sequential. Nothing to write home about there. Let's take a look at our 20 EMA. Boom, that's sad. We're using it as resistance. So this is why we run through all of our technicals and we look at all these guys. By the way, this is a similar process to what we do when we come live every single morning. We run through all of our technicals and we say, okay, that's boring, that's boring, that's boring. Oh, wait a second, that's interesting, and that's where we get all of our different notes from. But what we're seeing right here is that Cardano is getting resistance at the 20 daily EMA. If it breaks above that, that could be kind of the that could be the starter. That could be the spark that we need to get this market moving. But one final thing that I want to look at here on Cardano is on the daily chart. If we take a look at VPVR, we can see with all this sideways trading, we are starting to build a little bit of a bump down here on VPVR around $2.16. This is going to serve as support for whenever Cardano does inevitably eventually get above $2.15, and that is going to help to hold the market up. It's building a strong foundation. So here's my opinion on Cardano. There are one of two major things that can happen. Either one, it can follow in 2018's Bitcoin's footsteps where it breaks to the downside, bottoms out, and then has a rounded bottom and rallies. Or if it's able to get above that 20 EMA as a result of maybe a big rally in Bitcoin or Ethereum, or Charles Hoskinson says something, causes the price to moonshot, it getting above about 225 could cause it to rally. So these are its two scenarios. I think that the first one is a little bit more likely, but the pessimist in me says that the second one's a little bit more likely. Tim, I want to hear your take. Do you agree with those two scenarios, and which one do you think is going to happen?
I have been a big fan of saying that I think Cardano is going to rally. I want to actually give another piece backing up even further to look that is very, very good for the bulls for the next couple of months, but could potentially be a little bit of all right, no, maybe Cardano will not have the rally that we all expected them to have unless something changes. That's the good thing about Cardano, is that fundamentals change all the time, which change technicals. But Jeb, would you go to your weekly chart for me? And I want to just help people draw that. It'd probably be easier if you have a clean chart. But anchor your line for support the 25th of January of 21. You'll see a red line. January. So I think I'm on Kraken. So I don't know what you're using, but there's a red line on the 25th of January.
Okay.
Anchor right there, and then lead up to where we touch on the 19th of July, which you'll see a green wick, which is natural. And then we're kind of sitting on the bottom of that if it continues through. Where we're currently sitting right now, if you use those 2 points to draw your line, we are sitting right now on that line of rising support. Okay?
Okay.
All right, now for resistance, let's go over here to the wick of the 10th of May.
You're on log chart, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The 10th of May, and then touch it to the
30th of August.
The all-time high on the 30th of August. Yes.
Giant rising wedge.
That is a rising wedge, which speaks bullishly, because obviously this is on the weekly chart, so every single one of these candles is 7 days. Looks like from this perspective, I started with this on the daily chart, and I wasn't going all the way back till the January. I actually started with just July's date. But this speaks that we're going to come up one more time, and I think we're going to set a new all-time high, sitting somewhere in the region of $4, somewhere in there before we have a correction.
Which is our end-of-year price prediction.
But here's the bearish side of that, though. And this is what I'm not saying is going to happen, because I believe that Cardano has the ability fundamentally to change this scenario and deny, just so you guys know, again, an ascending wedge is a 70% likelihood usually a 70% likelihood it's going to break bearish, come down. That does not mean 100. That means there's a chance, the 30% chance it breaks bullish. And with Cardano, I like that 30% chance. But until we see something fundamentally change, this is what it's on trajectory to do.
Yep.
And so I would not be surprised if we hit that $4 and then come back down, and Cardano doesn't do everything we wish and hope it would. But again, there's a long time for that. For right now, be excited. I think the next couple of weeks are going to be extremely bullish for Cardano as we rally.
I think you're absolutely right. Well, guys, we're going to really quickly run through Solana here, and then we're going to move on. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Solana price action, because Solana is actually doing the exact opposite of what Cardano is doing right now. I actually spoke about this on Around the Blockchain a couple of days ago, and I kind of want to show you what I see going on, because as you guys know, a lot of you guys out there are big fans of Solana. It just broke all-time high. In fact, Solana jumped into the top 5 and surpassed Cardano just a couple of days ago. It is now sitting at $71 billion market capitalization, and I'm just going to be honest with you, I'm a bigger fan of Cardano than I am of Solana. I think Cardano is a very decentralized cryptocurrency. The community owns so many of the cryptocurrencies out there. Not the biggest fan of Solana compared to Cardano, but again, we're kind of comparing a little bit of apples to oranges there. But nevertheless, on Solana, what I'm seeing right now is this. It had an all-time high level that it was in danger of double topping at $220. It didn't do that. Instead, it broke all-time high, and it did this kind of thing that we've seen Bitcoin and Ethereum do recently, where it kind of breaks all-time high, but then just gets kind of limp up here and says, nah, actually, I'm getting kind of bored, and has a correction. What I'm also seeing down here on Solana, this is my chart vision coming out, guys, is that it looks to me like, number one, there's a resistance level that we can draw right here on Solana, and number two, it looks like there's a support uptrend that we can draw right here. Now, I don't know exactly where to anchor this yet, because Solana has not really shown us where exactly it's going to bottom out yet, but at the moment, it looks like this. And if Solana does actually bottom out right around now, then what we're basically seeing is that Solana is forming a gigantic rising wedge, which is not a bullish thing. These 70% of the time break to the downside, and if they did, we might come down here and retest previous all-time high as our local level of support. That is currently sitting at $220, and if we do bottom out at $220 and we bounce there, that would actually be a very good thing, because it would mean that Solana is backtesting a previous all-time high, using it as support and continuing to rally. If that occurs, then Solana could very easily run all the way up to $100 billion market capitalization, which would put it up close to $300, if not higher. But let's go ahead and take a look at some of our oscillators. And by the way, if you're enjoying today's show, we've got 3,500 people watching and only like 650 likes. Smash that like button. I know we can get 1,500 likes here in the next couple of minutes. It really helps to support the channel when you do that. If you're enjoying today's content, that's a way that you can help to support us so that we can continue to support you. Nevertheless, looking here at our oscillators, first thing that jumps out to me is this. We had a bullish MACD cross happen on Solana back on the 20th of October. It is now converging bearish over the last couple of days. This is a sign that we could be seeing a top form on Solana. We saw the same thing happen back on the 25th of October. Solana rallied up to all-time high, fell over for 2 days, but then it continued rallying based on all the fundamental hype in the Solana community. We may be seeing something similar happen here, where Solana is going to have a few days of pulling over, and then we're going to have this larger rally to the upside. Now, let's take a look at LuxAlgo, because it's always giving us interesting signals. Aha, this is very important. LuxAlgo has been very accurate in the past on Solana, and I can see that right off the bat. Take a look at the trend catcher up here. Solana rallied all the way to $220 here, and this trend catcher actually called the all-time high several times before we actually saw the sell signal come in here. Several days before we saw the sell signal, we saw the trend catcher turn red. Well, right now the trend catcher is green, and it's acting as support around $230. If we break below that, be mindful of this. For all of you guys who are using LuxAlgo, and if you're not, you need to. The link's in the description. We have a 20% off coupon code JEBB, J-E-B-B, at checkout. If this turns red, that is going to be a very bearish signal for Solana. Guys, I've used this trend catcher for a very long time. It's very, very powerful, and it is definitely trying to tell us something. On top of that, Solana has jumped up here all the way into the middle part of the reversal zone on Lux Algo. That basically tells us, hey, look, this market's a little overextended. We need to consolidate a little bit. And frankly, I think what we might be seeing here is that Solana needs a little bit of consolidation, the same way that I think we're about to see on Ethereum and on Bitcoin. It is the one driving this market right now, it and Ethereum, but I think some of that momentum that's in Ethereum and in Solana might soon be pivoting back into Bitcoin and Cardano because they have not had their time in the sun just yet. Taking a look here at TD Sequential, looks like we're good. Looks like we don't have any red 9 flashes. Nothing to be worried about there. I also want to look at our 20 EMA. You can see we've pretty happily bounced off of that for a while. And if we pulled back over the next 2 days or so, the 20 EMA would jump up here to around 220, the previous all-time high. We'd probably bounce off of it, continue a rally. So basically what I'm seeing on Solana, we're probably going to see a couple of days of bearishness here. And then, frankly, we very well could see a continued move to the upside. Tim, what are you seeing on Solana?
Well, so when you said there's no red 9 flash, there is on the 12-hourly chart.
On the 12-hourly?
We just had a red 9 flash yesterday, and so we just had a red. We just had a red 1. So that, or we said red 9. It's a green 9 on the chart, but we call it a red 9 because it means bearish. We just had the red 9 flash, so that's bearish right there. On the daily chart, I see bearish RSI divergence. It gets even clearer when you go down to the 12-hourly chart. Because what it is on the daily chart is almost long-term, which is getting close to where I would almost, just for anyone learning technical analysis, this is a hard one, because it's almost like...
I can see it on my screen.
You're tempted to say, hey, is that no longer valid? Is that high RSI number of, what do we have? 89 set back on the 8th of September. Should we even use that on the daily chart? So that's an argument. I would still use that and say that we're at bearish RSI divergence.
I would say we would.
Some people wouldn't. But go to the 12-hourly chart for them, Jeb.
Yep.
And now look at the 21st of October. That's clearly bearish RSI divergence. And the MACDs is starting to come down. Again, guys, I like Solana long-term, but I think Solana at the moment is very overvalued.
I agree.
And it needs a correction.
I agree. No, I think it needs a correction as well. I would agree with that. Well, let's go ahead and pause for a second. Let's read some super chats.
Yes.
I know we have a few, and then we're going to keep going.
We had a lot, because I know we usually read them a lot sooner than this, but guys, we are trying to give you guys even more. And here's the thing. For those who are new to the channel, I obliterate names. So you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and lean into the curve.
Cool. I love
Wrong pronunciations only accepted. If I get it right, I see myself as
wrong answers only. Gotcha.
First one from Geoffrey Frights. I want to be the first person with new super chats. There you go, Geoffrey.
There we go.
By the way, Geoffrey and I have a massive rivalry. So we
Thank you, Mr. Frights.
Love how much we hate each other. Next one we have is Care Loss Harmon saying, have you seen the flash crash from 61,000 to 600 USD? And I'm assuming he's talking about Bitcoin, because back when he asked this, we were still on the Bitcoin chart.
I believe that happened a couple of weeks ago. I think I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Araik Williams said, is there a way to pull crypto assets out of centralized exchanges onto DEX privately?
Yeah, I mean, you can just withdraw onto a DEX. I'm not sure. Yeah, absolutely. You can pull money off of if you can't pull money off of a centralized exchange, then you shouldn't be having your money on that centralized exchange. Robinhood, Coinbase, you can definitely pull off of it. Absolutely. By the way, I love that you're finally pronouncing these names correctly, Tim.
I know. This is
much better.
This is way better.
I like this.
Colleculum said, yes, I live in New York City. I'm actually in Brooklyn, but this is the deal with Eric Adams being a Bitcoin bull is incredibly important for crypto industry. Huge things to come, and he posted a link to his Twitter. Go follow him, Colleculum.
I think that was great, except you mispronounced Eric Adams. It's actually Eric Adams.
Well, here's the thing. In the actual chat, I'll try to get the names right. But yeah, let's see. We have one from. Oh, this is going to be a hard one to mess up. Bergermain said the Commonwealth Bank of Australia has announced that it will offer crypto wallets and trading services along with their traditional banking services. Massive for adoption. I agree. This is actually something we've been following for a little bit now. Is all the stuff with the adoption happening in Australia. What are your thoughts on that, Jeb?
Well, say again. What exactly is he asking?
So, well, he was talking about more adoption here. Let me undo this real quick. He was talking about Commonwealth Bank of Australia, so the CBA has announced that it will be offering crypto wallets and trading services along with their traditional banking services. So the banks of Australia are starting to get into.
I mean, it makes sense. The people hate on banks, but the fact of the matter is the value proposition of a bank is custody. That's literally all a bank is supposed to be for. That's what they were originally made for, is so that you don't have to hold your money in like a hole in the floor. You can have somebody hold on to it and make sure it doesn't get stolen. So it makes sense that they're moving in the direction of crypto custody. Are people going to use that? A lot of people in crypto might not, but I guarantee you a lot of people are going to. The traditional banking system is not going away, guys. A lot of people think it's going to. That's not the way it's going to work.
Yeah, we have one. I don't see anything. Oh, no, here's something underneath. It just has a weird space here. My Nagayan said, Hi, Jeb. I'm a noob trying to learn. We'll be doing your academy soon.
Woo!
Is Matic in a cup and handle on the daily? Keep up the good work.
We shall take a look at it. Let's look at Matic real quick. I think Matic is a great project, by the way, guys. Definitely one that I want to get more in. Is it in a cup and handle on the daily chart? Interesting question. I'm not let's see where he is talking about. The hard thing is I don't see a cup and handle. I can kind of see what you might be talking about here and then a little bit there. I would not call this a cup and handle, but I have a feeling that's not what you're talking about. You might be talking about this right here and that. This you might be able to say is a cup and handle over here on Matic. The thing about this is that the cup and handle normally would have a flat top because what kind of wonky teacup has a head that goes like that or a rim that goes like that? It just kind of, doesn't make a lot of sense. We would expect that for a cup and handle formation to happen, that we would see the handle come down like this. Gonna be honest with you, man, I wouldn't consider that a cup and handle formation. What I do see on Matic, however, is that a couple of days ago, there was an inverse head and shoulders pattern right here, and if we just draw a price target from this, I wonder what that called. That called a price target of $1.89. We actually overshot that. That's the power of learning TA. That inverse head and shoulders pattern would have given you a buy signal.
I got a text from Taylor, my wife, saying that we have a comment from Mickey Howles saying, my super chat was empty. I wanted to know if holding USDC on ETH versus Solana blockchain mattered. I wanted to take profits, but it is much cheaper to transact on Solana, but wanted your input.
I've never used USDC, to be honest with you, so I really can't speak to that.
Yeah.
I can't really give you a good answer on that one, to be honest with you, man. Sorry.
Yeah, I think even though we have some more, I think it's time that we need to go ahead and jump back into some content, and then we'll come back here in a little bit.
Cool beans. Well, guys, we're going to jump straight back into Bitcoin, actually, because there's a few more points that I want to make here on Bitcoin, and I want to look here at Lux Algo actually over on Bitcoin. Let's take a look at Lux Algo. It's one of my favorite indicators. As you guys know, it is a paid indicator and it is a sponsor of our channel. If you guys want to get Lux Algo, if you find what we're about to do here helpful, then make sure to check it out with the link in the description box down below. Use coupon code JEB, J-E-B-B at checkout, and smash that like button. Thank you guys, everybody who hit the likes. Number one on daily chart, you guys already know we're under a sell signal. We're looking for a buy setup. We kind of already talked about a lot of this, but one of the things I want to talk about here is the fact that Bitcoin is very far away from its reversal zone. Remember earlier we talked about how there's a price target up here at $88,000. Well, 88K just so happens to be the top of our reversal zones right now, and 76K just so happens to be the bottom of our reversal zones. So the price target on Bitcoin right now, in my opinion, is between $76,000 and $88,000 because I think that Bitcoin is going to get back up into this reversal zone. I don't know when it's going to happen. I would like to think it's going to happen in November, but at this point it might happen later on in November or early on into December. The point I want to make here, though, is that I think over the next several weeks, we are going to see Bitcoin rally up here into the bottom of this reversal zone because that is giving us the level that we should expect Bitcoin to go to. Taking a look down here at Lux Oscillator, we can also see over the last 4 days, it has been rounding and coming to the upside. We're very excited about that, and we want to see Lux Oscillator continue to do that. I want to look down here on the 12-hourly also really quickly. The 12-hourly on Lux Algo is giving us some interesting signs. Number one, we're sitting right here above the EQ cloud, and that is very important because this is a level of support. It's actually a zone of support that this market likes to maintain. That being said, though, if we do continue to trade sideways or even move to the downside a little bit, then EQ cloud is probably going to cross bearish, which you can almost read like a MACD cross. We don't want to see that happen. At the moment anyway, we are in the bullish control zone, and the bulls are the ones in charge right now, even though we're trading sideways. Take a look here at the trend catcher. And you can see the trend catcher actually turned green relatively recently. Remember, guys, my strategy using Lux Algo is to look at the trend catcher, look at the buy and sell signals, and then look at Lux Oscillator. Right now, we're not getting a clear signal out of any one of them because, remember, Lux Algo is a trending indicator. It works best in these trends. I mean, you can see it right here. Look at these trends. We saw a great sell signal, great strong buy signal, great strong sell signal, great strong buy signal. It works best in trends like this, but when you're trading sideways, every indicator is going to get a little bit confused. But when we actually enter this downtrend, Trend catcher turned red, and now it's turning green. That's a good sign. If we can see some bounces and rallies, we could very well see a buy signal come in. Now, the one thing I will say is that this sell signal actually turned red. It was purple. It is now red. That's basically telling us that, hey, look, Bitcoin at the moment is even more of a sell signal than it was before. Final thing I'll say up here is that the reversal zones up here on the 12-hourly are moving to the downside now. That does indicate that we are having constriction. You can almost read these reversal zones a little bit like Bollinger Bands, but they're way better than Bollinger Bands, so make sure that you take a look at that. Looking down to the 4-hourly chart, we can see that, let's take a look here and let this load. You can see that there was a strong sell signal over here, and we're actually below the reversal zone at the moment. And if we look down here on Lux Oscillator is very much giving us these sideways movements. It's not saying, hey, we're green or hey, we're red. It's saying, hey, we're kind of both, which is giving us sideways momentum. That is basically telling us, as always, that the market right now is sideways and we're waiting for a break to the upside. So what's my conclusion on Bitcoin? Right now, Bitcoin's in a bull flag. It has amazing fundamentals, and we're about to see a massive options expiry, which I can show you right here. Bitcoin has a ton of options contracts expiring today on the 5th. In fact, there are 1.15 billion expiring, and a lot of them are going to be expiring in a way that is going to hopefully be pushing us to the upside. Now, a good number of them are going to be giving us bearish pressure, but right now Bitcoin is sitting around 61,600. That basically means that a good number of these contracts are going to be expiring in the direction that will be helping the bulls. So hopefully the bulls will make quite a bit of money. If we do end up closing around 62,000, we could see upwards of $175 million in profit for the bulls. Definitely going to be very, very impactful. So, guys, let's go to full screen, and really quickly, I want to give you a word from one of our sponsors, and then we are going to go ahead and move on to a discussion. And I will go ahead and tell you about one of our favorite sponsors here, guys. Helps to bring us the show, and his name is Lorenzo Tax. We've had a lot of our people work with Lorenzo, and he's been a CPA for over 10 years, and he's been doing cryptocurrency taxes since 2016. His clients include everyday investors, traders, developers, NFT creators, resellers, people who have created their own cryptos, businesses that accept crypto, and more. And we've also had many people. At this point, we've had dozens of people work with him, and they are enjoying his services. Lorenzo Tax's company mission revolves around creating a plan that not only benefits you today, but for generations to come. A common quote from Lorenzo Tax is, "The more you know, the less you owe in taxes," which is exactly what we talk about, where you want to be investing in your own education. He also acts as a financial coach to teach clients as they progress through life and business. Now is the perfect time to work with a crypto CPA because, as you guys know, the year is coming to a close. There's only a couple of months left to make sure that you are properly set up for your cryptocurrency taxes, because believe me, you don't want to get into a tax nightmare. And you guys are always asking me about questions with taxes. I am not a certified professional accountant. I am not somebody who can give you that tax advice, but he is, and he is someone that can help you. They've got he has a special promotion right now for all Crypto Jeb subscribers. Click the link in the description box down below, and you'll get a free 15-minute tax consultation for how you can potentially reduce your gains all the way down, your capital gains and your tax requirements down to zero. Let's continue on here. We have some more super chats.
I just want to say, like, with that, like, the amount of people that comment and ask us, email us, asking how we would handle tax things, just to help save you guys time. We are not, at this point, able to give financial advice on those things. We're not giving tax advice. That would very much be breaking the law.
Yes, that's very illegal.
Lorenzo can, though.
Yep.
So if you have tax questions, listen, like, you want to ask someone who knows what they're talking about, and Lorenzo is that guy. So consider hitting him up.
Yep.
But as far as super chats, let's jump into some more. We're going to continue today, and we'll see how it goes. But wrong pronunciations only.
Wrong pronunciations only.
We already had a text from my wife saying, I'm pretty sure his name was Mike. But that would be the correct pronunciation. So, Nevasa said, would you ever own your own keys? Would you ever have your own keys to your own retirement plan funds crypto, even after the early withdrawal penalties or rollover into IRA like iTrust Capital?
I'm not sure what he's talking about. Would
you have your own keys to your retirement plans fund / crypto, even after the early withdrawal penalties to roll over into IRA like iTrust Capital? Yeah, I'm not really
sure what you mean. I think maybe he's talking about you invest into it and then you take it out of the fund and pay the early fee just so that you can have your own keys. That is a question for Lorenzo Tax. That's a good, there you go.
That's a good segue.
That's a good segue.
Gonna come through here. This one is really hard to mispronounce, but I'm gonna do my best. Matt Tassi said, congrats, Jeb, on the win, and thank you for another great week of content.
What about Mate Suh?
You could, Matic. I also thought about just going straight up Matic.
Matic.
Congrats, Jeb, on the win. Thanks you for another great week of content. Let's get this weekend started with a little lunch for the gang. Much love. Yeah, he gave like 50 bucks. I didn't even look at the price.
Thank you, Matka.
Here we go. Dessert Crypto.
Crypto.
Happy Friday, gents. Glad to see 2 Minute Tech is back.
Yup.
Laughed my butt off yesterday when you mentioned my coin on Around the Blockchain. Hope you guys have a great weekend.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm glad you saw that. Floki Doge Shiba Inu swap. No, that got some good laughs. That was pretty funny. I loved that super chat. That was great.
That could be a winner. If
I literally had to look it up because I was like, I have a feeling that this is a real project. And now after you super chatted that yesterday, it probably is going to be a real project. Drop a 1 in chat if you're willing to go spend 5 minutes on a blockchain development site and make that just for the meme. Please don't invest in it, but just for the meme.
Denial Bridegis said, what are your thoughts on Engine Coin?
Haven't done a lot of research on it, but to be honest with you guys, I am really tired of saying that. And I want to do a lot more research on these altcoins. That's one of the reasons why we're doing 2 Minute Technicals again here on the show, is because I want to be able to answer these questions. I am so tired of saying, I don't know. I want to do that. So I'm working on saying, hey, I'm going to do more research on this stuff. So I just want you guys to know I'm moving in that direction. I just got to be honest with you. The last year that we've been building this company, I have had so much on my mind that I've let my altcoin knowledge slip a little bit, but that ends now. I'm going to be working on that. Engine, I do know a little bit about it. I think it's a decent project, but I don't want to weigh in too much until I've looked into it more.
Yeah. Yeah, I think sometimes some people wonder if we have like 20 people behind the scenes doing all this research. You know, up until a couple weeks ago, it was just you and me. And,
yeah, it was just
somebody else helped with some organizing stuff.
Yeah, we finally have a research team being built. Because you guys got to remember, I am the CEO of the company, and there's like 16 people on staff. Tim is the chief product officer at the moment, and he has got a ton of stuff to do.
Yes.
So we're working on it.
All right, here we go. We're going to jump another one. Dragon Gripes says, thanks for helping us get a grip on our TA. Appreciate hardworking, Jesus-loving teacher. Keep on changing the world, guys.
Amen.
Keep being a blessing.
Amen.
Here we go.
A lot of people saying I'll help you research.
Listen.
We'll take the help.
Email our support.
Email support@cryptojeb.com.
If nothing else, give us a resume. We'll file it. Good to know.
Yep.
Here we go.
We'll file it.
Tubby.
Christians.
Thoughts on VeChain with upcoming DEX, China impact on VeChain?
I didn't know VeChain was launching a DEX. That's interesting. VeChain's a good project, and I think it's something that you should definitely be holding, in my opinion.
Yeah. As far
Not
as
financial advice,
unless something's being put there currently,
there's a few more.
Well, I'm just, what I had on my doc, so now I'm coming back to the chat. I see one that just came up from Chemistry, bruh. Engine and ETH of crypto gaming, I think.
Engine is the ETH of crypto gaming, I think. Right.
Yeah.
Crypto gaming is going to be huge. We're in the ground floor of crypto gaming, and we're in the ground floor of NFTs. We're in the ground floor of these metaverse tokens. Guys, there is so much freaking money to be made there, and that's why we're going to be looking into more of that. Drop a 1 in chat if you want to see more altcoin content, and drop a 1 in chat if you want to see more talk about NFTs and decentralized exchanges and, different platforms, all that kind of stuff. Drop a 1 in chat if you want to see more of that. And by the way, feel free to always tweet us. Say, hey, Jeb, can you please cover this? And if it's a good project, then we might do it. So follow us on our Twitter @CryptoJeb. Tim is @the_crypto_beard, and Smay is @ThickieSmay with 2 C's and 1 Y. So make sure that you do that. Smay, I just want to tell you a funny story. We're going to go a little bit long here today, and that's okay.
Fine. That's fine.
I was at a ministry partner of ours event yesterday. One of our ministry partners, Joel, who will actually be coming on the show at some point in the next few weeks, I do believe.
Yeah.
I was over there
on the 30th of November.
On the 30th, right? So I was over there with him, and basically what he does is he runs a ministry called Made for More. He works with at-risk teens who need mentorship and inspiration and everything, and he's like a father figure to these kids, and it was so inspiring to see that. But he told me, yeah, I got an email from Spam, the guy on your team, saying that I was going to come on the 30th. Oof. He thought Smay's name was Spam. I'm sorry, Joel, buddy. I love you. Joel was the man that baptized me. I got the world of respect for you, but that is not Smay's name. Just thought that was a funny story to tell.
My feelings are kind of hurt.
Spam.
I'm pretty sure he knows who I am, too.
He was Christian. That's why he was
he knows your name. So.
Well, I'm not Spam. That's just a gross kind of meat.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Well, Tim.
Yes.
I got a question for you here that is a little off topic, but that I thought was fun to ask. What is your max bench?
Well, currently or in
Both.
history? Currently, I have no idea. Yesterday, I did my first physical therapy appointment. I asked Spam this morning in the car here, what do you think when you're doing an exercise where you're laying on your left side and you pull in external rotation, what do you think a human should be able to do that with? He's like, well, 20, 30 pounds. I was like, well, that's pretty heavy. I was going to guess you're going to say 15 or 20. Yesterday, I couldn't even do 5 pounds. My rotator cuff is obliterated. So if I were to kill myself and do it right now, probably 280. It's still a pushing motion, which is the best motion. I peaked out at 405.
You think you can still do 280 on bench?
I think if I absolutely had to, yeah.
What do you think? What would
shift a lot of weight to my
What
left
would your
side.
working weight be at 5 reps?
I'm okay. So literally 2-3 weeks ago, I did 225 for 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm doing 135 for 5, so Tim has still got me beat with an injury. 405, pretty solid. My max, I think, Tim, you were with me. I think it was 170, something like that. 175.
I think you hit 185, or maybe you didn't hit 185, but we did the math on your reps because that's any trainer knows that if you see them hit a certain rate for a certain amount of reps, you can calculate what their max should be.
Yeah.
So whether you hit 185 or calculated it,
I think we calculated I could do 185. Yeah. I remember what it was because we were doing a bunch of them, and like I was already exhausted when we did the test, and I hit 175. Yeah. Anywho, I got another question for you.
Yes.
Are you excited for an altcoin season?
Well,
and do you think one's coming?
I'm not invested in a crazy amount of altcoins, but I'm excited for the people that are. I do want to get into things. For those who ask, I'm not as bullish as every other person about XRP, but I have a rough history as XRP. Like at one point, I thought it was the worst thing in the world. Got educated. Got to talk to one of the people that works for the team with Matt Hamilton. Shout out to Matt Hamilton. Loved it. And so now I actually really like what XRP is doing. I just haven't fallen for the narrative that just because it's been suppressed for this long, the minute that case is over, it's going to explode. I think it's going to have a very good bull run. I think it's going to be one of the leading coins. XRP isn't even technically a coin, is it?
It's a there's argument. I would say it's a coin.
Anyway,
yeah.
So I think the price is going to be good. I just don't. Some people are saying, "Oh, it's going to 9x once that thing." I'm like, no.
I don't think it's going to 9x, but as soon as that's over, I think it is going to be a big.
I think it's going to be good. So I'm excited for XRP. I do want to get involved there. Obviously with my Cardano and Ethereum holdings, Solana. I know my wife is pulling for SafeMoon to make a comeback because she invested in that despite my...
Hey, she's got a moon bag. That's all right. We need moon bags.
My thing with SafeMoon is if you're in SafeMoon, I hope you make money. I just don't expect you to.
Look, guys, there's nothing wrong with having a tiny little moon bag, like 1% of 1% of your portfolio in something just in case. But yeah, you just got to be careful with that.
Yeah.
Tim, what's the technical analysis on the YouTube subscriber count?
Well, we are in a consolidative moment. We had a hardcore rally.
Yeah.
We're very bullish there. We have been consolidating, but we are working tirelessly to up the fundamentals.
Yeah, we got a price target of like 500K by like 6 months from now.
Yeah, so that's. But what we need some more adoption in the market.
We do
so
need more adoption in
if
the
you
market.
would consider, if you're not a subscriber, consider hitting that subscribe button and help the charts.
Heck yeah, help those charts, help that price target come to fruition. Let's see. I have another question for you here, Tim. What coins community do you vibe the most with?
Vibe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Who do you vibe with, Tim? You vibing?
Okay, so let's put it. Let's start with which coins constitute having a community. XRP has the XRP army.
XRP's got the XRP army.
Cardano.
Solana's got the Chainlink has the Link Marines. ADA has the ADA gang.
Okay, so here at the end of the day, what I'm going to say, what is vibe?
Well, while you're thinking about that, guys,
vibing?
drop a hashtag followed by the community name that you were a part of. I'm hashtag ADA gang. Got to be honest with you.
I think when you look at the ADA gang and what ADA is trying to accomplish, I have to put myself in that one. No hate to any other group. I love XRP. I love what they're doing. I'm just not part of the XRP army. I love even the Solana and Ethereum groups, but I think I most correlate with ADA.
Looks like we got some hashtag ADA gang. We got some XRP army folks. Looks like John Blickliff said, y'all be missing my super chat.
No, we have it. I have it. It's
Johan, let's read it.
Yeah, Jahan Billaclafe. He's French. Guys, how about a quick look at VeChain USD, VeChain ETH, and VeChain over Bitcoin? Well, that's a lot.
I'll look at VeChain US dollars for a second just to give you a little bit of a rundown on that. Let's take a look at VeChain. Woo! Ooh, it's on a run. Is doing all right. Here's what I think on VeChain. You can see some of my TA from a long time ago. We talked about like a year ago how it was in this giant rising trading channel, excuse me. Broke bullish out of it, fell over. Right now, I see it's in a giant symmetrical triangle pattern that is attempting to break bullish. If it does break bullish here, it's probably going to do very well in Moonshot. That's
just so he knows real quickly, because I went and looked at
VeChain.
VeChain over Bitcoin. It looks as if currently it is breaking bullish out of a descending wedge.
Ooh.
Again, I would need to do more on the daily chart. I would need to do more to,
look at on VeChain.
Confirm that. But what I'm seeing, just my eyes looking at the chart, it looks like we are breaking bullish right now out of a...
Yeah, go to my screen. I'll show you what he's talking about. VeChain on BTC does look like we are breaking bullish out of a falling wedge. You can see it right here. If we break bullish out of that, definitely going to indicate that VeChain could be outperforming good old Bitcoin, which, quite frankly, a lot of things outperform Bitcoin nowadays. So that's not surprising.
Yeah.
Full screen. Well, do we have any final super chats? We're going to read those, and then we're going to...
I'm looking for and making sure I don't see anything else, but at this point, I do not see anything else.
Well, guys, if you enjoyed today's show and you want to see more altcoin content, more talking about more than just Bitcoin, please drop a 1 in chat so we know that we have your support on that. We want to provide the content that you want. So we want you guys telling us, hey, we want X. Hey, we want Y. We want to know what you want, because it is well and truly our mission to help make you financially free and help you succeed here in the cryptocurrency space. If you enjoyed today's show, hit that like button and make sure to subscribe to the channel, because the price target that we have for the channel is 250,000 subs by the end of the year, 500K by the end of Q1, and we would love for you to be a part of the hashtag Jebi Nights. Also, make sure to follow us on our social media, specifically our Twitter. That is where we post breaking things, and that's also where we post whenever the YouTube channel is in danger, as it was a couple of weeks ago. Guys, that's all I got for you today. Before I go, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Oh, I got a real good feeling.